Hill in the gun with Hill to his right. Play action to the right. Steps up, throws over the middle. He's got Thornton. Caught it! Junior Thornton. Split. 6. Touchdown. Midway.
Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brought to you by Peters Chevrolet, Bubba's 33, TFNB, your bank for life, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
Hill, right side, finds a seam. Hill, 20. Hill, 10. Hill, touchdown. Midway, no flags. Midway takes the lead by more than one score. And how about the Big Uglies inside?
Now, here's David Smoak.
Welcome back. We are in the last 3 weeks of the regular season in Texas high school football, and then, of course, the fun stuff begins with the playoffs for 6 weeks leading up to championship week at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Looking back at some of the games last week and a couple of performances that I want to touch on, but first of all, we don't ever take for granted who our sponsors are. You see their logos. I try to mention them as much as we can because they are critical for us to do this every week, including my great friend Randy Peters at Peters Chevrolet in Longview. What a place he has there with all of what you need with cars, trucks, SUVs, and also even the store he has, the office that has other great stuff in Tyler as well. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Captain Kai Kizzy and his staff that reach out to youth around the high schools locally. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance with Carl Ellis and Mike Garrett and what they do when it comes to high school sports in Texas. Bubba's 33 and manager Nathan Watkins. Appreciate him for what he does. And TFNB, your bank for life, with general manager and the leader of that group, in Jason Lavender. All right, so here are some of the games that kind of caught my attention from the 30 great games we highlighted last week. Aledo beat the heck out of Centennial out of Burleson. Burleson Centennial's had a pretty good year, but Aledo flexes their muscles. We'll get into their winning streak in district here in a moment, 64-21. China Spring and La Vega have had some great games, playoff games, incredible games during just a rivalry. And China Spring is rolling in Division I, back in Division I in 4A, 42-7. Westlake beat Dripping Springs 29-10. Their winning streak continues. Dripping Springs with Austin Novosad, the Baylor committed quarterback. They clamped down on him. Chapel Hill beat Lindale. This surprised me. Not the win. 79-45. Tyson Berry for Chapel Hill had 90 yards rushing on 3 carries, 1 touchdown. He also had 2 kick returns for a touchdown and caught. Actually, he had 1 receiving touchdown and caught that one. Plus, he had 3 rushing touchdowns and also returned a couple of kicks for touchdowns in that game. And kicker Aiden Campos, 10 for 10 extra points, a field goal, and had 4 touchbacks. Carthage shut out Rusk. Carthage is rolling. We've, of course, had our conversation with Scott Surratt. Rusk was averaging nearly 40 points a game. They've now lost a couple in a row. Carthage with the shutout to go 8-0, 49-0. Manville and Richmond Foster knew it would be a great game, and it was 28-23. Manville wins that one. One note statistically, Hubbard's Kendon Johnson, 17 carries for 401 yards rushing and 4 scores in that win. All right, here are some historical perspective to put up that we try to do every single week when we end the opening segment. All-time consecutive wins. This counts games in season, non-district, district, playoff games, whatever. Salina, the all-time leader, with 68 consecutive wins, 1998 to 2002. 57 for Allen. Yes, that was Kyler Murray and company's years. Bremond with a great run that they had with Rashad Paul and company, Jeff Kozlowski, the head coach, 49 straight. South Lake Carroll, 49 straight. Abilene back in the 50s had 48 straight, and the current all-time consecutive wins right now after the win against Dripping Springs, Austin Westlake has won 48 consecutive games. Now, there's a note at the bottom. Pflugerville High School once won 55 straight in the late 50s, early 60s. It was 55 straight, but this is 11-man football, and a lot of those years, or at least some of those years, 21 of those wins was in 8-man football, not to take away from the great winning streak. Also, all-time consecutive regular season wins, which means if you lost in the playoffs, it did not stop this streak. Allen, 84 consecutive regular season wins. That was ended the opening game of this year to St. John's Bosco out of California to open up the year. North Shore, the great run they're on now, but this was even before, 78 consecutive regular season wins. South Lake Carroll, back when they were not a bigger school, when they were unbelievably good in Class 2A and 3A, they won 72 straight. Westlake, 67 in a row. And these are all-time regular season victories. In Refugio, they've ripped off a few long streaks, 63 consecutive games. By the way, Carthage, after their win against Rusk, won 59 straight. Their last loss in the regular season was back in 2016. They lost to Kilgore 41-34. Now, one more consecutive win streak. We've done all-time consecutive wins. We've done all-time regular season wins. Here now, the all-time consecutive district victories, led by the current streak of Aledo, including their win against Centennial, 2007 to now. That is current at 109 consecutive district wins, well ahead of Katy, well ahead of Allen, well ahead of Houston-Lamar. Allen, by the way, had their district streak ended last year when they lost to Prosper. And then also a current streak, Newton, the Eagles, at 2011 until now, have won 65 consecutive district games. All right, when we come back, we're going to hear from Stephenville head coach Sterling Doty. How about the game they have in China Spring coming up on Friday night? A great battle in Class 4A Division I. Stephenville's battle through losing their starting quarterback. We'll hear from Sterling Doty on the defending champions, both China Spring in 4A Division II last year, Stephenville in Division I, and they meet for probably what will be the district championship. Also today, we're going to have a chance to visit with Denton. Geyers head coach Heim is going to join us as they play Allen this week. I'll answer a question I got about high school football and the elite games coming up, including a few that we're going to feature with our interview segments. Jacob Wilson behind the scenes. I'm David Smoak, and this is the Statewide High School Football Podcast powered by Smoaky.com.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on 365 Sports. Brought to you by Peters Chevrolet, Bubba's 33, TFNB Your Bank for Life, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
We're joined by Sterling Doty, the head coach at Stephenville. He was with us last year when we started this statewide podcast and know all about him. The run that they've had, they won the state championship last year, Division I, and here they are with a showdown in Class 4A Division I with another defending champion in China Spring at China Spring on Friday night. Sterling, thanks for your time. What have you learned about your team this year and the resiliency they have shown?
I think he said it, just resilient and heart of a champion and never die. We're battle tested. That's for sure. We played a great non-district schedule, and now we're getting into the meat of our district schedule coming up with a big game this week.
China Spring has been 4A Division I, dropped down for 2 years, won it all last year, and they were dominant, beat Carthage along the way, and they seem to be kind of rolling through what they've done this year. They had the game with Dallas Episcopal, who's Parish Episcopal, who's really, really good. What do you see from them, and is there any difference from what you see with them?
Well, I tell you what, they're a great football team, and you can definitely tell that they've got a championship swagger about them. That every time they step between the lines, that they're very confident in their ability, and then all the work that they put in to go into the game. Definitely, don't see a drop off at all from their championship season and the run they went on. You said it. I mean, beat a great West Orange team, go back to Carthage, and then Gilmer in the state championship. So definitely ran through a gauntlet, just kind of like we did there in the Division One run to our title, going through Argyle and Melissa and Paris and Hershey, and then LBJ in the championship. So. Got the new season, and both of us are playing well. I don't know if you can even count that as a loss with the Paris Episcopal game because what you see what Paris did to Alito, and then going into South Oak Cliff and the teams that they played, and shoot, it was a close ball game right down to the end of the fourth quarter there.
Sterling, you won it all last year, and you've been a part of that at Stephenville before and are now. What is the standard? What is the identity of Stephenville football right now?
Well, I think it's what it's always been. We expect to win the district championship and compete for the state championship every year. That's the community's expectation. That's our expectation as a staff, and definitely as a group of athletes. And, that's the standard that we're up against. We got a slogan, DC to SC, and those are our goals every year. We get playoff qualified and then compete and win the district championship and compete for a state championship.
Lambert, your quarterback, who was a part of last year's state championship run, went out, had the foot injury. Saw a little bit of glimpse of him back last week, and obviously what Ryan Gafford did to come in and take over a state championship caliber program. What did you learn about Ryan, and also how nice is it to have at least Lambert back in your fold?
I tell you what, Ryan was phenomenal for us. Those 5 games that he came in and started, played really well, impressed with his deep ball accuracy, and he managed our offense. He got it in the hands of our playmakers. And allow the other 10 guys on the field to do their job. We're really excited about our big boys up front and our tight end, Titus Russell, the work that they've been doing. Tate Maruska's off to a phenomenal start there for us. At the running back position, really dynamic, and he's healed up and ready to go into this matchup this week. And then you get your state championship a quarterback back, and just a unique little nugget there. He's the first Stephenville quarterback that's ever had the opportunity to repeat as a champion. You go back, all of Browell's quarterbacks, including Kendall, was a junior. They moved to Lubbock his senior year, and so he didn't get the opportunity to defend his crown as a Yellow Jacket. So Ryder's the first one. So it's great that he is now back healthy and had a full week of practice for us, and then listed as hopeful going into the game.
Yeah, and then Jones, I think, won one, didn't he, back in, 2012 or so? And he was not there. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Coach Gillespie there in 12 and went on and had a great career at Texas State.
Yep. Maruska, your running back, has put up huge numbers, and he was a part of that last year, and he's tough and what he does. Your thoughts about Tate and what he brings to to kind of help make sure that you guys are dimensional?
Yes, sir, for sure. 10-9 there as a sophomore, won the district 100-meter dash, and then was an area champion as well in the 100. So, Tate's definitely got the speed to take it. And but I love his patience and how it allows blocks to set up and just allows his big boys to do work before he does. And this offense, I mean, it goes back to what Coach Browse was able to accomplish there at Baylor, and it all starts up front. If you got the ability to run the football, you're going to be dangerous that night.
If I was to say a key word for what you guys do on offense, and I saw that what Coach Browse ran at Baylor and what put them on the map, is the key word speed, or is it spacing?
I think it's a combination of things with what Coach Browse and Kendall and of course Phillip was able to accomplish there and Waco had a lot to do with spacing. But they had those guys that were burners, those receivers that they had in there, and the quarterbacks, of course, they were able to develop and just explosive offense that they're able to do. For us, I think it comes down to being multiple, putting a lot on the defense and a lot on them having to prepare for a lot of different things. But if we can run the football, it's going to set everything else up. And I think that's just how deceiving it can be going against Arbaugh's offense is really the first thing that he wants to try to accomplish is getting that run game started.
Yeah, they pounded people in the midsection, and I'll never forget the 61-58 win against TCU when they were down 20-something points. They actually came back. Most of it was because they ran the football and were picking up huge chunks of yards when most people just thought it was a bunch of deep fades. So appreciate you bringing up the running game. 39 playoff appearances, 6 state titles. You took that job, you know it because it's in your blood, and you haven't blinked. How much fun have you had going back to where you were, your alma mater, and having the success you've had so far?
Say if you can't get it done at home, then you can't get it done anywhere. And I wouldn't be here very long if we haven't been able to have that success. But my wife was brave enough to take on the challenge and come back home with me, and it's her hometown as well. Across Canadian, you're always 17 in your own hometown. So we took that head on, and we couldn't pass up the opportunity to come back and be a part of this community again, and just the great folks here and how they support the programs, the athletics, the school district, and then just work with some phenomenal kids. It's been a blast and been really special for my family being back here so far.
Sterling, when the district came out, they've been together before, you, China Spring, La Vega, and there was others included when it was before the last 2 years. But when you saw that come out with 2 defending state champions plus what La Vega and what they have accomplished, Don Hyde's team's down just a little bit this year, but they are still dangerous. China Spring beat them up last week. When you saw that, with all due respect to the others, did you go, oh, this will be fun?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. And then you're throwing in Region 2 as well. So Not only are we in a premier district, but we're also in the premier region, with what Salina, Anna, and you look at Sulphur Springs and what those guys are accomplished a little bit further east. We just, again, you just match back up in that gauntlet. So we kind of felt that coming on, being the last 2 years, being in with Heritage and La Vega.
Yep.
La Vega kind of coming off their championship seasons, but bam, China definitely was the first thing that caught my eye, and it was just kind of like, okay, they want to see both champions in district. Here we go.
All right, well, last question. It's going to be packed tomorrow at China Spring. It's going to be absolutely just a phenomenal atmosphere at China Spring on Friday night. You guys play in front of that all the time. You have an incredible travel fan base that follows you everywhere. How much will the atmosphere just be like? You could shoot a movie there. You could write another book about Texas high school football perhaps on Friday night.
It's going to be electric. Of course, Valley Sports is going to be there and pick them as one of the games of the week.
Right.
Man, it's just, I tell the kids, it's what you work so hard year round for, and tell the staff. And it's just another piece into our season, and another climb up the mountaintop. And you just, every week you're competing for a district championship, and this week it doesn't change. But definitely with the 2 champions being there in one spot, and limited parking. I understand they got some construction going on. Get there early, fill up the seats, bring your lawn chairs, line up the side of the fence there, and man, it's going to be a great night for Texas.
It will be, and you're a part of that too, Sterling. Thanks for your time. Good luck on Friday night at China Spring, and we appreciate your time as always.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on.
Sterling Doty, head football coach at Stephenville against China Spring, 2 defending champions in the same district, and China Spring coming off their win against La Vega, and again, Stephenville coming off what has been a lot of adversity this year at the quarterback position, but Ryan Gafford pulled them through that time, and they get Lambert back this week after a little bit from last week. This is the 365 Sports Statewide High School Football Podcast.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on 365 Sports. Brought to you by Peters Chevrolet, Bubba's 33, TFNB, your bank for life, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
We will be joined by Denton Geyer football coach Reed Heim here in a moment as they play Allen this week, and Geyer has been rolling. Allen's been back on a nice track after the loss to St. John Bosco out of California to start the year. Here is one of the questions that I got for this week that we always share one of the questions, and I try to answer it if I can, or at least give you an opinion on it. And the question is, and there were, and I noticed this, a ton of points scored. I mean, a ton of points scored last week in high school football. Now, is it me, or is there a lack of quality depth in districts across the state? Once teams hit district, they are lucky to see one quality opponent before area in the playoffs. And area, of course, is in the third round of the playoffs. Well, we just discussed it. Sterling Doty, that district in 4A Division I, is loaded with Stephenville, China Spring, and then La Vega. And Don Hyde and La Vega will still be a part of the discussion before it's all said and done. They're just they've been so good for so long, and they're just kind of trying to figure themselves out. But, yeah, I do see a little bit of that. I think there are some districts that are just packed 4 or 5 deep, and there's going to be good teams that don't make the playoffs. I do think, though, that the reason why, if in fact that is the case, and we appreciate the question, is because when they split up the divisions from 1A all the way up to 5A, they don't do this in 6A. They still wait to the end of the season, see who has the highest enrollments for Division I at 1 and 2 seed, and then Division II at the number 1 and 2 seeds. But, you know, last week I saw, 80-something to nothing. I saw 77-7 or whatever it was. And by the way, it's not, when you see a score like that, we sometimes in social media, oh my God, they ran up the score. Oh my God, what? A lot of times the other team is responsible for that too. And the other thing is, in one game, I think in the West game in their win against Maypearl, 86-0, whatever it was, they had every way you could score. Rushing, passing, returns, fumbles, interceptions. You can't, I mean, they scored in every way. And sometimes, you know, some teams just aren't very good, unfortunately, for Maypearl. They've been beat up a couple of different times this year, and the game gets out of hand. But it's not just because somebody had an onside kick late in the game up by 50. That wasn't the case there, and it rarely is the case. But I do think that when they split it up into divisions before the season began, and they started that slowly but surely, and then eventually encompassed all of, from 6-man or Class 1A all the way up to 5A, I think that maybe that softened up some districts. I do. I think it did. And so that is the case. And so if that's the case in the district that you're talking about, where the numbers 3, 4, or 5 teams aren't very good, or are kind of just not, you know, at their average, or maybe, then guess who they're going to play in the opening rounds of the playoffs? The teams that are at the elite level. That's kind of like in the NFL playoffs, or whatever we do, NBA, Major League Baseball, you know, you seed, you have certain teams. But in high school football in Texas, it's based on how you're assigned to what district, what region, and yeah, you can get some sloppy games, big-time blowouts early on for a couple of rounds until everybody starts to then have the number 1 and number 2 seeds overall play each other, head up to get into the area round, quarterfinals, eventually the semifinals, and also state championship game. I'm not so sure, by the way, in that game with Stephenville and China Spring, they're playing for the district title, basically. Not mathematically, but basically they are. And most likely, or there is a very good chance, you're going to see them in the quarterfinals, and we see that a lot. When you see one district have 2 teams playing each other in the quarterfinals, that says quite a bit about the strength of the districts from top to at least the top part of the district. All right, when we come back, we're going to hear from Coach Heim. And, you know, he's done a great job taking over a program with great lineage. And Geyer, lost last year to Westlake in the state championship game. We'll discuss Reed Heim and Geyer High School in their game with Allen next on 365 Sports, statewide high school football podcast powered by Smoaky.com.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB, your bank for life. Member FDIC.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on 365 Sports. Brought to you by Peters Chevrolet, Bubba's 33, TFNB, your bank for life, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
We're back, and again, one of the great matchups this week is Geyer and Allen in Class 6A with great lineage. We know the history of both, and Matt Heim joins us, the head coach at Geyer High School. Here, start again. I said you're right. There's a Matt Heim that I know that runs a restaurant. You ready to start again?
Yeah.
Idiot. We're back again, and the high school football podcast brought to you by Smoaky.com as far as powered by 365 Sports. One of the great games in high school football this week is that matchup in 6A between Geyer and Allen. Reed Heim is the head coach at Geyer. Great story behind him when it comes to his ladder of running where he was, where he started, and where he is now. Reed, thanks for your time. You guys have been rolling. Geyer's used to that. State championship appearance last year as well. And now this is your opportunity to lead Geyer football. What does it mean to you?
Well, anytime you have an opportunity to coach high school football, whether you're a head coach, I mean, this state's the place that you want to do it. And if you look at around the environment, you pick, say, the top 10, 15, 20 teams, Denton Geyer is going to be one of those teams that comes to mind. So being from the state of Texas, playing high school football here, playing small college ball here, and just making and choosing this career, and my first opportunity to be a head coach, to do it at a place that they care so much about football, great kids, great community. Man, I'm very, very blessed. And this is Thursday night, ESPN. You really get to showcase 2 phenomenal programs, so many great things around this game. And I hope as many of y'all tune in, whether it's radio, TV, it should be a great team, great game between 2 great teams.
I've got the alarm set for me to watch it as well, and I hope a lot of other people do. I asked Rodney Webb a couple of things about you. Rodney's a guy I've known since he was back at, oh my goodness, what was it, Royce City? And then, of course, he was at, Mesquite Horn and then Rockwall, and he's been around and what he's done. He said you're a football junkie. Is that true?
That is true. That's something that I love the X's and O's part about it, but never too far away from the kid part about it too. I look back on my experience with playing the sport. Come from a football family. Granddad, great uncle, both played at A&M. That's the pictures that you see over my shoulder. And just growing up around it my whole life, it gave me so many opportunities, not just the physical part of it, but also the relationship piece. And it's just something that I've loved for as long as I can remember, and just so fortunate to have been able to make it my livelihood.
How important is the rapport you have, not just with the young men that you coach, from the lower levels all the way up to whenever they're a senior at Geyer? How much of it is also the rapport you have with administration, with the parents, with your other coaches? And I've heard you're really good at that.
I think that it's a community thing. Anybody that is around your student athletes, whether that's teacher, admin, family, like everybody who relates to those young men and women that are in our program, everybody needs to be on the same page. It's to best ability. You got people from different backgrounds, different places, grew up here, moved here. And I think that having an open door policy, being able to talk to anybody and everybody, and just to try to find different ways, whether it's what I say or how I coach or the things that we do on the side across the river over at the school. It's all about, hey, what is the vision for this place? What does it mean to be a Guyer Wildcat? And being able to consistently reinforce that vision just helps this whole thing stay on track and move in one direction.
What does it mean to be a Guyer Wildcat?
Well, one of the shirts that there's a couple things, and some of it's coach speak, but Coach Keese is our strength coach. I really believe that he's the best in the country, not just state of Texas, but he's a phenomenal coach. And all of his t-shirts say different breed. And I think that's something that was here long before I got here, and it'll continue. That's one thing I like to say, that we play with an edge at Guyer. We may not always have the most talented football players, but we're never going to lose to a helmet sticker. We are always going to we're not afraid to play anybody, anytime. And our kids believe in that. And so you're always going to see, they love games like this because it gives them an opportunity to show the rest of the state what it means to be a Guyer Wildcat. And that's to play with an edge.
If anyone watched the Westlake game with you last year in the state championship game, if there was ever any question, you guys played at a fierce level with an edge, and how hard you play. Sometimes when people say, man, they played so hard, that means they weren't very good. But no, you guys are good, and you played that way. I think you had them in trouble, and eventually Todd Dodge and his team were able to pull away to win again. How much hunger comes from what happened in late December at AT&T Stadium?
I think there's always an element about that. But if we played in 2019 for a state championship. I wasn't a part of that. They've won 2 state championships. We've had such success. It's just built into the program. There is an expectation that we are going to compete to go year in, year out, make deep playoff runs, and have an opportunity to win a state championship. So yes, that's there, but I'm hoping that that's just built into our program.
I know you guys, you played Heath, you played Aledo, you played Lancaster, and then Prosper. And Prosper ended Allen's long district winning streak last year, and they're very, very good. And those teams all combined have 5 wins or more already through the first, the 8 weeks of the season. And you won some of those games going away. How much did that schedule, and as you said, you play anybody, anywhere, anytime, how much did that schedule prep you for not only this week, but also for what happens in November and maybe December?
I think it's big. I think our guys, and for me personally, and our coaching staff, it's great to play good football teams. It's something that's always going to check you where you're at. It's going to make you maybe prepared, sleep a little less, get up a little bit earlier, make sure you've got all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. I think that whole preparation mentality, I think you need that, especially when you get into games, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and hopefully 16.
Rodney Webb now is an athletic director, and I told you he shared some things with me because I was trying to do my homework on you. And he said you find solutions to whatever you're faced with. Where did that come from in your life?
I think probably being a GA for about 5 years and being a graduate assistant or a volunteer or a low man on the totem pole I've had 11 different jobs. I've lived in 5 different states. I've coached college football. I've coached high school football. And I think one of the things that has helped me along the way is be a problem solver. Find a way to have a solution. When you're in a staff of, if you're at a Power 5 school and there's 35 people, why are you different? What's going to make you different? And everybody loves somebody that can get things done, that works hard and does it the right way, and then tries to find maybe just a little bit different way to look at it. I think that has suited me well.
You GA at Baylor, and of course you played at Austin College that you mentioned a little bit earlier, a small school, but still college football and being a part of that. A lot of people never have that chance. You were at Colorado for a short amount of time. What did you learn being at Colorado?
I had the opportunity to work for Mel Tucker, who's now the head coach at Michigan State. And the thing about Coach Tucker is not only was he a master motivator and a great leader as a coach, I love the fact that when you went out on the field and he started coaching, there was no doubt in my mind who the best football coach out on the field was. So I think that it really opened my eyes to what it means to prepare for an opponent and all of the different things that it takes to really understand who you're playing and put a great plan together. But then at the same time, do it in a way that you can communicate to your student athletes, because as a coach, we don't play, they do. So you got to wrap it up all into a package that allows them to know what to do and play fast.
Of course, he was at Colorado and now at Michigan State, got a huge extension last year. They're struggling a little bit this year, but they were surely a great story last year. You're a defensive guy. That doesn't mean you don't know offense or you can't be the CEO of a program like Geyer or wherever you were or, might be at the time. Is it different? Is it a mentality of a head coach as a defensive coach? Is there difference there than a guy that might be a play caller?
I think that at times, but to me, I've had I've had the opportunity to work in programs that have had highly prolific offenses. So I know sometimes the best defense is a great offense. So we're going to give, if you look around at some of our very, very best players on our team, you have Jackson Arnold, who's a 5-star quarterback. You have Josiah Martin, who's a great receiver. Landon Sides, great receiver. Trey Joyner, Cy Stovall. I mean, we have all these great names. So I'm never going to be in my defensive world so much that I don't want those guys to have just as many opportunities to be great football players. So I'm a special teams defensive guy, but I've coached offense. So I've been a part of that too. So I think I try to be as well-rounded and think of it as all angles as possible.
You told me earlier, your wife's the one that said, hey, by the way, these pictures on the floor have got to get up off the floor, and you put them in your office and you got some more background. You could be an interior design person, by the way, a decorator. And you and I are joking about that. Reed, she's from Hallsville. I covered East Texas, and I still do, even though I now live and have lived in Waco the last 12 years. That's the Hallsville Bobcats. They've got a team that has kind of never been able to get over the hump, but they have a lot of really good players this year. What's it like to marry into high school football lineage when it comes to the state of Texas because of the pride of this sport in Texas?
Well, I'll tell you what, she's my biggest fan. She's the loudest cheerer. It's my first opportunity to be a head coach. So, I have family that come to, cousins, uncles, people are coming to games to watch. And she's like, hey, I love your family. It's great. I love being a host, but man, I just want to watch some football on Friday night. So I appreciate all the stuff that she does, and hopefully she'll get to watch the game and not necessarily having to talk to, the 10, 15 people that they're coming to watch me coach and spend time with her. But she does a great job.
How special are coaches' wives?
Well, they're incredible. I mean, I just was thinking over the last week, between us having a short week, I think I've talked to her and seen her maybe 2 hours in the last 7 days. And her patience is unbelievable, because I'm not around a whole lot, and we don't have kids. So that makes it a little bit easier, but gosh, I enjoy spending time with her. And this time of year, as everybody knows, your coach, it's very, very difficult to spend quality time with your wife and your kids.
You mentioned, Geyer, the history of the championships and also playing for them as well, including last December. Allen has their rich history. We know what that's been over the years. And Lee Wigginton, now a guy that I covered when he was at Mejia, and I've known him for a while now, the head coach there. They had that loss to a loaded team out of California. Then they've gotten back on track. What do you see from the Eagles? Any changes because of the fact that there's a new head coach?
Honestly, it's surprising that they are doing, and because it was so effective what they did in the past, they're doing similar things that they did last year. Coach Collins, it was the head coach at Pierce, is now the offensive coordinator. I believe they've got the same defensive coordinator, but sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They do a really, really good job. And I really have watched them through the seasons, and outside of that Bosco team, which might be able to line up and hold their own against, the Cowboys, they've gotten better every week. I think Mike Hawkins, their quarterback, he's the thing that makes them go, very much like our offense. They've got a dynamic running game. They've got a really young tight end who's going to be an unbelievable player. They've got a couple of good receivers. They're a good football team, and they have an expectation of winning just like we do. That's why I expect it to be a great football game.
to wrap it up with this, and again, Reed, thank you. Reed Heim, head coach at Geyer. It's a national televised game. There's already enough distractions sometimes, although it's fun to be in a moment like this, in an atmosphere like this. Is it different because it's a nationally televised game? Are there more distractions, including having to deal with me?
No. Well, I'm putting up with you, so we're all right. But no, one of the things that actually has helped with that part of it is the fact that it is a short week. I haven't had time to think about that. It's just get ready to try to squeeze 3 practices into 2 days. But I have talked to them about that. And I really, the note that I let them is some of the things that I talked about, what makes our program special is, hey, this is your opportunity to show a lot of people what it means to be a Denton Geyer Wildcat and go play your tails off and show people what it means to play with an edge or be a different breed. So I think our guys I'm not worried about them being ready to play. I just want to put our best foot forward and roll the ball out there and play a good football game.
Love your story, man, and keep it up. And congratulations on what you've done. Good luck on Thursday night against Allen and the rest of the way. Nice to get to meet you actually for the first time. Reed, continue doing what you're doing. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Smoky. You guys, I appreciate y'all and everything you do for high school football in Texas.
You too, buddy. Reed Heim, the head coach at Geyer Allen, on Thursday night, nationally televised game on the ESPN networks. This is the 365 statewide high school football podcast powered by Smoaky.com.
Yeah! Are y'all ready? What? Yeah! Y'all ready to play some football? If you want to get it, let me know. I'm about to break this down. If you want to get it, let me know. I'm about to break this thing up. If you want some, come get some.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on 365 Sports. Brought to you by Peters Chevrolet, Bubba's 33, TFNB, your bank for life, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
And so now we look ahead. We just previewed a couple of the games. Stephenville playing China Spring with Sterling Doty at Stephenville, and then also again, the interview with Coach Heim at Geyer and their game with Allen. But here are the elite games. Every week, this is based on Jerry Forrest, pigskinprep.com. He ranks everybody in the state of Texas based on power rankings and wins and losses and all that. So here are the games, and there are 30 that we put on Smoaky.com and pick them every week, and a chance for you to win a gift certificate for $25 to Bubba's 33, wherever one is located near you. China Spring and Stephenville, based on their rankings, based on the total number, like, again, China Spring 1, Stephenville 4, that's a 5 on the other side, on the right side. That's the highest rated game for this particular week, along with a great game between Refugio and China. Remember, both of them had early losses this year that kind of surprised some people. They have bounced back, and they're on a collision course, and they might meet a couple of different times this year. That Timpson-Joaquin game is also a game in 2A. Timpson with Terry Bussey, who does everything incredibly well. Joaquin has their own stars. That could be a collision course, but Timpson is really, really good and have been basically cruising by everybody. The 5th game on the list, Aledo and Ryan. 2 great histories there. Aledo, again, had that long 9 consecutive district wins. Ryan has been hit a couple of different times this year, and Aledo the favorite there. If you look on the left-hand side, there's a number that I'm not sure if we have that on the graphic, but they're favored by, based on the index, again, at Pigskin Prep by 9. Let's go down to Mart and Wortham. 7-0. Wortham is 7-1. Wortham puts up big numbers. Their offense scores a ton of points. Mart's still a very heavy favorite in this game because they're just better than most everybody else in Class 2A, but still a game to highlight there. On the second page, a game of interest, Lorena and Franklin, 2 defending state champions, just like Stephenville and China Spring. Lorena and Franklin. Lorena 6-2. One of their losses, of course, is to China Spring, and they lost the district opener to Yo. That should be a great game. Lorena and Franklin in Class 3A. Grandview and West, another one in 3A. That's a fantastic game. Geyer and Allen, we previewed that one. Geyer 7-0, Allen is 6-1. Go down to 4A, West Orange Stark and Jasper. Some great history here. West Orange Stark has 4 losses this year. To Port Neches Grove, Newton, Silsby, and Hampshire Finette. They're still good. Their record, though, shows at 4-4. Jasper is at 5-2. In 3A, West Rusk. Heck of a team, what they have there, and they take on Troop that's put up some big numbers offensively. Sam Wells, the head coach at Troop, both teams are 5-2. Remember, we featured Troop earlier this year with a young man who had the hit in the game at the end of the game that was also hospitalized. So those are the games. Those are the elite games. There's others as well, but those are the ones we highlight every single week. We start off every week summarizing the best wins, interviews with coaches, some historical perspective of Texas high school football, answering a question or two from you, which I appreciate the fact you send them to me, and you can by emailing me, and then we say, okay, here are the games, the best games, the top 30 games. Go to Smoaky.com and look in the top part of the website on the homepage for where it says pick 'em. You could go in, log in, pick the 30 games. It's very simple. Write your name down in an email, and the winner each week will get a $25 gift certificate to Bubba's 33, and thanks to Nathan Watkins for that. Thanks again to our incredible sponsors, the U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life. Thanks to Bubba's 33 and to Peters Chevrolet. For Jacob Wilson, and thank you as well, I'm David Smoak. Week number 9 is almost over. How about that in Texas high school football? This show on 365 Sports, powered by Smoaky.com. Battle in the gun with Hill to his right. Play action to the right. Steps up, throws over the middle. He's got Thornton. Caught it! Junior Thornton. Split 6. Touchdown. Midway.
Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brought to you by Peters Chevrolet, Bubba's 33, TFNB, your bank for life, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
Hill, right side, finds a seam. Hill, 20. Hill, 10. Hill, touchdown. Midway, no flags. Midway takes the lead by more than 1 score. And how about the Big Uglies inside?